A very good morning to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on the 30th of June. We enter yet another week of this transfer window, and yet another week that has gone past where there's been no action from West Ham United. Frustrating. I'm getting a little bit nervous, but we've got to remember there's still a whole 2 months to go before this transfer window shuts. So, should we be nervous? Well, I guess if we do not see any action at the beginning of July and into the first 1 or 2 weeks of July, when the team goes meets up again for its pre-season training, then maybe I will start getting a tad nervous. But at this moment in time, let's keep our cool. Look, if you're new to this channel, first time you're watching the West Ham Boys, or if you've watched the channel before but yet to become a subscriber, please do consider subscribing. Costs nothing to subscribe to the channel. All the content is free. And if you enjoy the video, please, at the end of this video, please do hit the like button. So what did we talk about this morning? Well, for those that watched the final of the Under-21s European Championship between England and Germany on Saturday night, you'll see that it gave us an insight into the quality and mental strength of some of our future England players. Sure, not every Under-21 player is going to make the full senior international team, but one or two certainly shone. And one of those players was the captain, of course, James Mcatee, who demonstrated that he's by far the most ready of all the England Under-21 players on display. And although he's already made a bit of a splash, not only for the Under-21s team, but also for Man City, he's a player that is going to be very much a big part of the England squad and any team that he decides to move on to. Mcatee is one of those England Under-21 players who can walk into most, if not all, Premier League teams. And Pep Guardiola, he knows what a huge talent he has on his hands. He's 22 years of age now. He has a year remaining on his contract at Man City, and it's suggested he's available for less than 20 million pounds. If so, that would surely be one of the bargains of this summer transfer window. But the player himself, he knows his worth. And so would he even consider coming to a club like West Ham United? We've apparently expressed our interest in the player. We're apparently in talks with Man City about the possibility of signing him. But then we've been hearing this about the possibility of signing players for quite some time. I think he would fit definitely into Graham Potter and Carl McCauley's, what they want to do at the club. Emphasis on players who are young. Really changing the way the heart of our midfield is, and he'd certainly be a key player in that respect. Mcatee would transform our West Ham midfield in an instant, and with 34 senior appearances and 7 goals to his name in a Man City shirt, the Premier League is not one that's going to faze him one bit. It's been suggested that Fiorentina, yes, that Fiorentina, who we beat in the Europa Conference final 2 years ago, are also talking to Man City, and it's rumoured that they're looking at paying just £17 million for Mcatee this summer. If that really is the case, then surely we should be in a position to be in a good shout to persuade him to stay in the Premier League. Look, he's not going to have a shortage of suitors, but if Potter and McCauley are really building this younger, more dynamic team, where else better to start than the player who led England to Under-21's glory at the weekend? Then we look to some of the Liverpool players who were on display for England during the Under-21s Championship as well. West Ham have been linked to up to 3 players in as many as 3 days from Liverpool. On Thursday, it was suggested that we would be interested in talented attacking midfielder Harvey Elliott, and wouldn't he be a breath of fresh air in our midfield alongside Mcatee? You could see how well they work together for the England Under-21s team. Now, you can see the show that I did on Elliott and his traits on this channel. If you look in the back catalogue, I think it was the one I did on Saturday. So do look out for that. So I won't go through what we know about Elliott. We know how good he is. We know he can play in various positions, out on the right, in attacking midfield, in a more deeper lying role as well. So he would be another player that would be worth considering. But his price tag will be very different to that of Mcatee's. And it's suggested that something in around the £40 million mark could maybe persuade Liverpool to sell him. £40 million, not bad. Then on Friday, I said there's three players that we were linked to from Liverpool. Thursday, it was Elliott. And on Friday, it was suggested that we may yet again be interested in central defender Joe Gomez. However, this particular link was not quite so welcome amongst West Ham fans, given Gomez's history of injuries. So we'll leave that to one side. And then on Saturday, before the Under-21s European Championship final against Germany kicked off, we were linked to defensive midfielder Tyler Morton. And it was Morton who actually was one of the game changers in the final itself. He's the one that delivered a sweet cross to the head of Jonathan Rowe, which won us the game. It was a really entertaining final, actually, really good. And congrats to England and Lee Carsley for having retained the crown of Under-21 European champions. And for Carsley, having done it twice in a row with two completely different teams is pretty decent. Now, both Morton and Rowe were subs, but it proved just how talented the depth of the England Under-21 squad is for them to having come on to make a difference in the game. Now, much like Mcatee at Man City and much like Harvey Elliott at Liverpool, Tyler Morton is another young, talented player at Liverpool who's been finding it hard to get regular first-team game time. Between Morton and Elliott, they've amassed 42 appearances in the senior team for Liverpool, 28 of those being for Elliott and half of that for Morton. He developed in the Liverpool Youth Academy, and as part of his development, he's been on 2 loan spells, firstly to Blackburn Rovers and then to Hull City. However, despite the experience he would have gained from those, and with competition in midfield being pretty fierce at Liverpool, now might be the time for Morton to make his mark at another club because he's just not getting the game time at Liverpool itself. He made just 5 senior appearances for the team last season, of which 2 were in the starting lineup, both in the Carabao Cup. He didn't make a single appearance in the Premier League, and with Liverpool having spent big in the transfer window already, his chances of getting any more game time does look less and less likely. He's 22 years of age. He's at the stage of his career where he needs to be playing regular first-team football, or at the very, very least, pushing to be in that first-team starting lineup. He could, of course, stick with Liverpool in the hope that he may get the break that he deserves. But like most young players at big clubs, a move could be great for his future career and reputation. Now, West Ham could offer Morton exactly that platform. We've been crying out for a solid defensive midfielder since Declan Rice departed, and Morton may well consider West Ham to be the perfect club under the coaching style of Graham Potter to develop his career. Rice did it at our club, so why not Morton? Now, during his loan spell at Hull under Liam Rosenior, he fitted in perfectly with Rosenior's vision of how he wanted to play his football, playing from the back, dominating in possession and progressing the ball forward. And that's exactly what Potter wants to do at West Ham. Morton learnt a lot in that time, having played alongside more senior midfielders, which helped him develop his game. And again at West Ham, he would have that comfort of knowing that he will have experienced players around him. As the season progressed at Hull, Morton started to be more confident getting forward, and although cannot be regarded as an out-and-out box-to-box midfielder, he has enough talent to develop into that style of player, as he demonstrated during his loan spell at Hull. So what are his strengths? Spatial awareness and positioning are particularly highlighted. He's always scanning the midfield for open spaces to put himself and provide passing options. He helps to link defense to attack, and keeping possession of the ball is one of his strong points. He demonstrated that perfectly when he came on against Germany on Saturday night. Passing is another strong aspect of his play. His range of pass and vision are superb, playing pinpoint passes to teammates all over the pitch and rarely misplacing one pass. Now, having said that, when he did come on, he did have a slightly shaky start in the final, but he soon settled. His first one or two passes were a bit misplaced. One of them actually gave Germany an opening, but he soon composed himself. He settled, and from there on in, he hardly put a foot wrong. He's got great tenacity, a great desire, a great work rate, and willingness to track back. Makes him a manager's dream, both on and off the ball. Of course, at such a young age, he's still developing, and there is, if there's anything that he should be working on, it's his timing when making runs into the opposition's box. And work on that could help him to become, as I mentioned, the box-to-box midfielder of the future. Now, it's suggested that Arne Slot does not have Morton in his current plans. So even if we were to offer a cheeky loan with maybe an obligation or option to buy, then surely that would be an opportunity for us not to miss. Now, although I accept that we need pace in midfield, Morton doesn't necessarily possess that. But it's his vision, it's the way he plays his football, getting the ball forward, which would be just as good for West Ham United going forward. Look, he's the kind of player that can unlock attacking midfielders through shielding that midfield, as well as using his ability for his wide range of passing. But there is a problem with getting a player like that at West Ham. And the problem being is that we have a player in our ranks, or certainly having come back from his own loan spell, that we would want to develop, as that great defensive midfielder and maybe moving into that box-to-box role. And that, of course, is Freddy Pototts, who's had a great second loan spell, first to Wycombe Wanderers in League One a couple of seasons ago, and then, of course, to Championship club Portsmouth. The Wycombe fans loved him. The Portsmouth fans lauded him. He's got everything that I think Morton has. And on top of that, he's West Ham through and through. So I think he's a player that will make an impact coming through the ranks. But who do you pick? Do you go for someone like Morton, or do you put trust in a player like Freddy Pototts to really make an impact at West Ham next season? So it's going to be interesting to see what we do. Morton is definitely a player that we should consider. There's no harm in having strength in depth. But Freddy Pototts as well? Which one do you think? Another player that West Ham are rumoured to be targeting is another player in the Euro Championship, the under-21s, is German player Rico Wrights, who was also one of the standouts of the championship, of that competition. The 23-year-old is expected to be leaving Borussia Dortmund this summer, and a number of clubs, both within the Premier League and around Europe, are in the hunt to sign him. However, he may not be available for the 17 million that's been quoted in a lot of social media columns. You see, next summer in 2026, he does have a release clause of that value. And rather than seeing the player leave on the cheap, the German club, Borussia Mönchengladbach, may be looking at doing a deal this summer so that they could maybe earn a significant more amount of money for him than having to wait next summer when he's got that release clause. It's suggested that West Ham have made inquiries and are ahead of other teams such as Brighton and Fulham for his signature. Wrights developed in the Gladbach academy, and he's made 69 appearances in all 69 senior appearances in all competitions for the German club, scoring 8 goals with 5 assists. He only extended his contract with the club last year, and he's got 3 years remaining on it. However, back in April, when asked whether he was looking to leave Borussia Mönchengladbach, Wrights replied that he was happy where he was and that he would not be pushing for a move anytime soon. In terms of his strengths, we could see from the games that he played for Germany, he was one of the leading players in midfield, always on the front foot, good defensively, midfield minded, always looking to create opportunities to get the ball forward. However, because he's more a defensive central midfielder, he's not prolific goal scorer, but he is a battler. He's disciplined, and his work rate could be something that would be appealing to West Ham. But if you were to compare him with other players that we're interested in, Morton, maybe Mcatee, maybe Elliott, I don't know. Who would you rather have in the team? Now, other players who continue to be linked to West Ham, but we still haven't got further updates on, include Saint Etienne's striker. Oh, sorry, let's go back one. Includes 24-year-old Danish goalie Mads Hermansen, who is in the Leicester team, who've been relegated. But there's nothing that we haven't heard any more about that just yet. Maybe that will change in the coming week. Let's forget him for a moment because I haven't got a photo of Lucas Stassin, who I wanted to mention, Saint Etienne striker, but he's another one that we've been hearing reports that we're linked to. However, with Stassin, the reports have kind of varied. We hear 1 minute that there's no interest and we've made no approach for the player, and then the next minute you read another social media column that we are linked to him. So I don't know. It's gone a bit quiet there, but we'll see what happens. And I'm sure you saw a glimpse of him. I shouldn't have put it up so soon. I'm not going to lose any sleep over the apparent link to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who the other day confirmed he's leaving Everton now that his contract has expired. Apparently, the story goes is that we're interested in offering him more than the 100 grand a week that he's getting currently on at Everton. And I smell agent talk there. I think he's being bigged up to try and get a new deal. Look, how many times have we not learned our lesson from buying strikers who are just not fit enough or always injury prone? And Calvert-Lewin, he was once a great force up front, but his injuries have taken their toll, just like they do with many other players. Once you pick up one serious injury and another, before you know it, that's what you're known for rather than your goal scoring. So I'm taking it with a pinch of salt that people are putting 2 and 2 together and suggesting that we're going to be in for Calvert-Lewin. I doubt very much that's going to happen. That's a brief update for players again, all the transfer rumours that are knocking around. There are many other stories, I'm sure you know, but those are the ones I've focused on for today. I'll be back later on to talk about the players that are looking like they're leaving West Ham. There's a lot of news about Mohamed Kudus, and there's an awful lot of talk at this moment in time that perhaps, just maybe, he might be staying at West Ham. And we'll talk about that later on. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Please, like I said, do become a subscriber of the channel if you've enjoyed the show. And please do hit the like button, which certainly helps the channel to elevate on YouTube. Really appreciate you watching and listening, and I will see you all very soon.